Hi everyone, it's Phil Frost from Main Street ROI, and I also have Corey Hill from Add This, and we are going to present what's new in SEO, and we're going to talk about 5 key trends for 2018. So Corey, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, just a couple housekeeping items. I want to encourage everyone to post questions to the questions box that should be in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. I always recommend you turn off distractions. Try not to check your email or scroll through Facebook. You'll get the most out of this if you're focused, and you won't have to go back and re-watch everything. And I just had a couple questions to see who's on today. So you'll see a poll on your screen. At least you should now. And that question is, are you currently working with an SEO agency or consultant? Answers are yes, no. And then the third answer would be we are an agency or I am a consultant. I do see a lot of people are selecting that they are agencies and consultants. Whenever we do these trainings, we find a lot of businesses on the line as well as agencies and consultants. All right, looks like 80% have voted, so I'm going to close that out. So looks like 17% are working with an agency or consultant, and then 23% are actually agencies or consultants. And the last question, just to get a sense for the size of your campaigns, what is your current or anticipated monthly SEO budget for 2018? And it looks like 80% less than $500 per month. About 15% in the $500 to $1,000 per month, and 5% in about 1 to 2K, and just jumped up to 9% more than $2,000. So pretty big SEO campaigns. All right, so let me close that out, and we will jump in here. If this is your first webinar, probably wondering who the heck am I? Why should you listen to me? Again, my name is Phil Frost. I'm the founder of Main Street ROI. Our business provides digital marketing services like SEO, online advertising, email marketing, as well as WordPress development. To date, we've helped over 2,000 businesses with their digital marketing. We also provide a lot of training, like this free training we're doing today. And then we have some more in-depth training. If you go to mainstreetroi.com/training, you'll see our paid courses. And my thought leadership has been featured in Forbes, Inc., Amex, as well as Mashable. And this is my favorite slide. That's my family, my 2 kids. We got Violet on the left. She is now 5 years old. We're going through the ringer of figuring out kindergarten in New York City. And my new 3-year-old son, he just turned 3 April 2nd. My beautiful wife, Erin, in the middle. And again, we're in New York City. Our office is on 23rd and 6th, and I live on the Upper West Side. And we also have Corey.
Hello. So I am a marketing specialist for Add This. Add This offers simple, free publisher website tools. The tools are optimized to help publishers drive traffic and grow their audience. So everything from share buttons to link promotion overlays and list building integrations, and they're all like really easy to set up on any website. So we're on about 15 million domains, everything from Fortune 500 companies to WordPress bloggers. And I handle all of our outbound messaging, so our blog and our academy. So all that content management, I do our emails and our social strategy as well. I also am the co-founder of a small food business. So Chups Craft Condiments, our flagship products are a fruit-based ketchup. So just do a little Google search and you will find Chups.
Awesome. And I see somebody mentioned there's no sound. So I hope that's just one person having some issues there. I guess if you can't hear me, you wouldn't be able to know to type into the questions box. Okay, there we go. Marcy, thank you. Jody, thank you. All right, we're good. Just want to.
Oh, yeah, it looks like whoever didn't have the sound does have the sound now. So.
Okay, great. And we are recording. That was another question. And we'll send the replay typically within about 24 hours after we finish. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about five key SEO trends for 2018. I'm going to actually walk through 4 of them and then kick it over to Corey to walk through the 5th one. In addition to talking about the trends, we'll talk about what you need to do based on these trends. At the end, we'll have a special offer for attendees, and then we'll have live Q&A. All right, so trend number 1 is that your prospects are demanding mobile-friendly websites. This shouldn't be news to anyone, I don't think, at this point. This graph here is from ComScore. You can see right around 2014, mobile online usage overtook desktop, and more people are searching in Google on mobile over their desktop computers. And then what are they doing on mobile? This was some research from Google here. 82% of smartphone users use their smartphones to search for local businesses. I know just personally, I do this all the time, especially if I'm in a new area and I've got my cell phone, which unfortunately I don't. I lost it recently. But when I do have it, I will Google to find, let's say, hardware store nearby, dentist near me, those types of searches. People are doing that more and more on their mobile devices. And if you don't have a mobile responsive or mobile friendly website, you're not likely to be showing up for those searches. So 3 key takeaways. First and foremost, if you haven't done this already, it's absolutely critical to make your website mobile responsive. What that means is that your website needs to respond to the device that's accessing it. So if I go to your website on my laptop, it should show up correctly and be user-friendly for a laptop. And if I try to load up your site on my mobile device, it should the layout should change so that's easy to read. The font should be sized properly, again, so it's easy to read. Images should resize, and then call to action buttons on your website might be links. It might just have a phone number listed, but on a mobile device, you want to have nice big buttons so that people can click those with their thumb, and even phone numbers can be replaced with buttons to just call right from your mobile device. And with that in mind, you want to start thinking about designing your site for different devices. So when I started with digital marketing back in 2006, all you had to worry about was computers and desktop computers, and it was very simple. You designed usability and sales paths with just computers in mind. Now it's a lot more complicated. You need to think about, okay, what should that sales path look like if someone's accessing my website with a mobile device, and then it might look different if they're accessing it from a desktop computer. And just a classic example would be the call to action on a mobile device. If you take phone calls, is likely going to be a nice big button to click and have that click to call. And the third one, which I will admit is not easy, but you need to start thinking about tracking across devices. So people more and more are using multiple devices to access your website before they convert, before they purchase, before they call you, before they complete a form. For example, they might do a Google search on their mobile device. They might click on, let's say, a Google ad if you're doing AdWords advertising. They might check out your site on the mobile, and then later on, maybe that night or a couple days later, they'll go to your site on a desktop computer, and that's when they'll actually convert. So to be able to track that properly and know what marketing is actually working, you need to be tracking across devices. All right, trend number 2 is again related to mobile, and this is what Google has done. They're now demanding mobile-friendly websites. So back in November 2016, Google officially announced that they were going to change their index to be a mobile-first index. So again, historically, when I got started back in 2006, everything was based on the desktop version of your website. But if you remember that graph I just showed you, more and more users are now using mobile devices. And with that, Google made kind of the logical decision that, okay, if more people are searching their search engine using mobile devices, then they should actually be looking at the mobile version of the site to make decisions about how your business should rank or how your website should rank. So the mobile first index means Google is going to look at the mobile version of your site and make decisions about how your website should rank, rather than previously they would look at the desktop version. And it did take them a while, but this year, 2018, so about a year and a half later, they have started rolling out the mobile first index. So there's 5 key takeaways here. First, you want to test your mobile website, and you can go, if you just literally just go to google.com and search mobile friendly tool, mobile friendly test. You should get this mobile friendly Google testing tool. You'll also get these slides, so you can just click right on this link. You just put your URL in that tool, click submit. That tool will analyze your site and tell you if it is in fact mobile friendly, mobile optimized, and it will also give you suggestions to improve it. Next is another important factor with especially mobile SEO, and that's page speed. So everyone is now used to fast loading pages, and Google knows that. Google knows that it's very frustrating if you click on a Google search result and the page doesn't load up. You're likely just to click back and go find a different site. So with that in mind, Google obviously wants to rank pages that are that load very quickly, and they want to give those websites preference in the search results. So you do want to invest in making your sites fast, or else that's going to hurt your SEO. And again, you'll get these slides. You can go straight to that Page Speed Insights tool, and that tool will tell you if you have some issues with page speed, as well as some ideas to get your site to load faster. Next tool you can use, which is an important SEO tool, is called Search Console. And again, you'll get that link. It used to be called Webmaster Tools. So if you have a Webmaster Tools account, it's the same thing. It's now called Search Console. You'll want to get that set up. That's basically Google's way of communicating with your business about your website, and they'll tell you if there are any issues, any types of issues with your website, and specifically they'll tell you if there are mobile usability issues if you go to the Search Traffic Mobile Usability Report. Fourth key takeaway here, and Corey's going to talk more about this, you want to add structured data to your mobile pages. Structured data is basically HTML code. So this is something that your developer would add to your pages. It allows Google to find different types of information about your business, about the content on your site, and then based on that, they will start incorporating that information in the search results. And then you also, since Google's going to be looking at your mobile website first, you right now you might have a mobile site, but it might not have all of the content that you have on your desktop version. And if that's the case, that's going to hurt your SEO. So you want to think about expanding the content on your mobile pages to give yourself the best shot of ranking when people are searching on their mobile devices. All right, trend number 3 is that brand mentions are now a ranking factor. This is related to the fact that historically links were the biggest factor in how how your website was going to rank, how high. But more and more, Google is starting to look at other factors in addition to links. In this case, specifically, we're talking about brand mentions. And Dwayne Forrester, he's a former senior product manager at Bing. He was quoted saying that on the Bing platform, in Bing search, they're already using brand mentions. So that is a fact that's been quoted. Google has not gone on the record and said that brand mentions are a ranking factor, but we do know, and they have gone on the record to say that they look for citations. And a citation is a mention of your name, address, and phone number. And that's a known factor, that they look at citations, they look at the consistency of the mentions of your name, address, and phone number across the internet. If all that information is consistent, that helps you rank higher when people are searching for a local business in that near that particular address. So 3 key takeaways. The first is to consider investing in press releases. That's a great way to get citations as well as brand mentions. You may, if you follow SEO, then you know that not too long ago, the links from press releases were devalued. They are now what's called no-follow links, which means they don't help you directly with your SEO. And because of that, a lot of people thought, okay, press releases don't help your SEO. They're just kind of a waste from an SEO perspective. That's actually not true. If you take into consideration the fact that the search engines are now looking at those brand mentions as well as the citations, then press releases do provide value from an SEO perspective. And we have found this to be true. We actually published a case study, I think it was last year, where we had a client that was struggling to rank in the local results, the local map results, and everything looked good. We issued a press release, got a lot of citations, and after that press release, Google then bumped them up in the search results, and they became, I think, number 2 or number 3 in those local results just from that one press release. So there is a lot of value in press releases and getting those brand mentions. You also want to encourage customer reviews. If you're familiar with Google My Business, then you know there's the ability for customers to leave reviews. That's also a factor in how well your business will rank when someone's looking for a local business. And then number 3 would be to form partnerships with other bloggers in your industry, and do that to do some guest blog posts. That's going to not only help you get links back to your website, but also give you those brand mentions that we just talked about. All right, trend number 4 is related to voice search. And this is a huge trend, huge growing trend with the rise of tools like Alexa. I actually have one of those in my home now, and my kids will talk to Alexa, which is crazy. As well as mobile devices are capable of listening to you actually speak into it, and then you can speak a search, and then the mobile phone will actually do that search for you and give you the search results. So there's Siri, Alexa, Cortana, OK Google. Google actually says 20% of mobile queries are voice searches, and that number is growing every year. And ComScore has a pretty bold prediction here. They're predicting 50% of all searches will be voice searches by 2020. That seems a little high, but you know, they have done the research and are predicting that. And it's important to know when you do a voice search, especially on, let's say, Alexa, if you talk to Alexa, then Alexa is going to talk back to you. And those answers, a lot of those are coming from structured data, which I talked about earlier. That's the HTML code that's on your site that explicitly tells Google and other search engines specific information about your business or about the content on your pages. So you can have structured data for recipes. So if you talk to Alexa and need a recipe, the tool will be able to find recipes and feed those back to you. You can have structured data around reviews, around your name, address, and phone number, business information. So all of that can be coded on your site using, for example, schema code. That's one of the ways to code using structured data. And then the search engines can easily find that information and then serve that up to people who are requesting it using voice search. So 3 key takeaways. Again, you want to make your site mobile responsive. Hopefully, if you get nothing else out of this, you will do that. That's a critical step. If your site is not already mobile responsive, it really needs to be at this point. And then you also want to start considering how to use structured data on your site. That's going to give the search engines just more information to then pull into the search results to help with voice search. It also has been proven to help the click-through rates. So when you do show up on the first page of Google, more people will click on your listing if you have additional information like from the structured data. And then I believe Corey's going to talk more about this. You want to consider creating more content-rich, frequently asked questions pages on your site because with voice search, people are more likely to literally ask a question versus when you type, usually just type using a couple of the keywords that are in the question you want to ask. When people talk to their phone or talk to Alexa, they are literally asking a full question. And if you can have those questions on your website with full answers, with some really good content, you're going to be more likely to show up on the first page of Google or be the result that is talked back to that person that's doing the voice search. All right, with that, we'll kick it over to Corey for trend number 5.
Thank you, Phil. Also, before I dive in, I wanted to mention in the same vein as all this mobile optimization, all of the Add This tools are mobile optimized, so we definitely understand the importance of that. So if you put it on your website, it automatically knows if somebody's coming from a phone and will optimize the tools from there. So really good stuff there. But so Google Snippets. So Google Snippets, extremely valuable for driving organic search traffic. The studies have shown that click-through rates can be increased by up to 6%, and that some websites have seen a 20 to 30% increase in traffic after becoming a featured snippet. So what is a Google featured snippet? They are the quick, direct answers that you see at the top of a Google search results page. So you type in a search query. Oftentimes now you'll see this box at the top of the search page. Some of them come in a list form. The most common are paragraph forms, and then there's also a table version, which I think sometimes, you know, if you're doing like a recipe conversion, you'll see so there's like different tools that pop up for that. So our Get Featured checklist, there's a 5-part checklist. Before I dive into each item, many of these are pretty much general good SEO best practices, but really the important putting an emphasis on employing each tactic and really doing it across the board on all of your content. One thing that I don't have in here that Phil, you had mentioned is the structured data markup. So if you're taking notes, a term to write down would be rich snippets. So rich snippets, that is what the HTML that you can give your developer or that you can find that would that you would add to your code. And so those can be added on like product pages, recipes, and events. But what we're going to be talking about here are more like strategies overall for your content. So the first thing is using long tail queries with your keyword planning. So think of specific questions that people are going to ask. You know, like what is a Google snippet, for example? You know, using it's a good tactic to target keywords that aren't too obscure, but also aren't super competitive for ranking. Descriptive titles, the titles you use to name your pages, they're the same that the search engine are going to be using. And when they look at the title tag, the suggested length is between 50 and 60 characters. And you want to make sure you include keywords that are also in the content. And typically, a best practice is to make sure that your targeted keyword is in the title and that it's also in the first paragraph, because it's really where you know, the search engine will be crawling. Follow on-page SEO best practices. Again, like I said before, all of the things that you might already employ, and just really making sure that you're doing them on every page, and that you're doing them when you're thinking about what content you're going to write. So before you write your content, like do the keyword research, use Google Keyword Planner or Moz, use those descriptive titles, backlinking. So make sure that you're linking out to other blog posts and other sites. And then, as Phil mentioned before, is if you're doing guest posts, make sure that you're backlinking to your own content, because that's really, really great for Google and for SEO juice. Make sure you're using images, and then also meta descriptions. There's a new suggested length that's just a little bit longer than previously, which is 230 to 320 characters. And talked about this a little bit before, but write structured content that answers questions. So how-to lists that are easily scannable. I think everyone has seen the trend across the web. It's, you know, the 5 best recipes when you're short on time. Things like, how do I increase email signups? Like, these are the things that people are writing into a search query. Where is the best place to shop in Washington, D.C.? So if you own a brick and mortar, so you want to get into a Google snippet, that's a great way to do it. And then long form content. So this is content that is 1,500 to 2,000 or more words. The important thing to note here is that relevant content is still more important than article length. So don't just be like droning on. You want to make sure that it's robust in that it's linking out to other content, so it's research based. Of course, longer content has more social shares, organic traffic, higher social engagement, and higher search engine results page.
All right, we promised a couple special offers. The first one's from Main Street ROI. I mentioned we also provide training courses. So we've got a special bundle offer here, 3 step-by-step 90-minute video training courses. First one's the complete SEO tune-up. The second one's the local SEO formula. That's how to get your business ranking in the local map results. And the third one is introduction to Google Analytics, so that you know how to track your marketing as well as specifically tracking your SEO. So you can see on our site, those are separately sold for $97, so that's $291 total value. So you'll get everything for only $97. So it's basically get buy one and get 2 additional for free. So you can go to mainstreetroi.com/SEO bundle for that offer. Whoops. Where did your slide go?
It's okay. I can talk to it.
Okay.
So
I think I had already loaded it up, so it didn't refresh.
That's fine. Yeah, so AddThis is free. So I was just telling you guys, go to addthis.com, check out all our tools. I recommend to get started with our share tool. It's optimized again for mobile. We also do what we call personalized services. So it'll show services that a user has previously shared to, or based on where they are in the world. So some countries, Facebook might not be as popular as here, so it'll show them what's popular there. But we also have link building, link promotion tool, email list building tool. And yeah, if you're interested in setting up a demo as well, I can hook anyone up with our customer experience team, and they can walk you through we also have an analytics dashboard, so you can see how your tools are performing. You also can see just general information like website visits and all that.
Okay, great. And I did just chat that out. So in the GoToWebinar window or dashboard thing, there's a chat section. If you open that up, you'll see the addthis.com/get/share link. And then I also put the mainstreetroi.com/SEO bundle link. So you can hopefully see that and click on those links. And I see we do have some questions coming in. Common question here is, are we recording this? Are you going to get the replay and the slides? I do want to reiterate, we are recording. You will get the slides. We typically send that out within about 24 hours. Jermaine had a question here. Could the amount of plugins be a factor in website speed? So I'm not a web developer, but just generally speaking, that can be a factor, just because the more code that is on a particular page, that means your browser has to read all of that code. The more there is, the longer it takes to read it. So having more plugins loaded on a page would impact the site speed.
Yeah, and we are always keeping an eye on website page speed. It's something that we know is really important. We also are working on and hoping to launch early summer a AMP version of our share tools, so the accelerated mobile pages. So keep an eye out for that too.
Okay, let's see. And Corey, if you see any questions you want to answer right away, feel free.
Why has the meta description length changed? Google Snippets, I think it's just a way of Google's wanting to present the best content to people and most informative. And just staying on top of the best recommended lengths would be attending webinars like this, making sure that you just know the best SEO practices. I think Google puts out a yearly suggest their best practices for ranking. So keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, and Google's constantly changing their search results page. That's why the recommended length of a title has changed over time, because only so much text will actually fit in the search result in the amount of space that they have. And then recently, with the description, which is underneath the title, they've started to expand that. And Google's always testing, and they're just constantly trying to figure out, what do users want, what helps them more. And over time, they've tested and figured out having longer meta descriptions has helped people find what they need, ensures that when they click on it, they're satisfied. And that's ultimately what Google wants. They want to make sure when somebody searches, finds a result, clicks on it, that they're happy. Otherwise, they're going to lose that person as a user. They're going to go use Bing or some other search engine. So I saw a question here from Gazala. If the website is responsive, does the structured data stay the same for both versions, or do you have to make sure that it's replicated across different devices? So if your site is responsive and you're showing, as long as you're showing the structured data to both mobile or to mobile tablets and desktops, then you wouldn't have to change anything or try to replicate it. So that would be totally fine. Just taking a step back, the other way to make your site mobile, and it's more of a older school tactic, was actually to have a separate mobile site. And a lot of businesses did that. So you might have, for example, mainstreetroi.com, and then we don't have it like this, but we could have set it up so that you have to go to m.mainstreetroi.com, and that's the mobile version. So a lot of businesses have completely separate mobile sites, and if that's the case, you would have to replicate any of the structured data, any of the content that's on your desktop version. You have to replicate that over to your mobile site. But if you have just one site and it responds to the devices, then you don't have to replicate anything. Vince said, what is brand mentioning? That's just literally somebody publishing a mention of your business name. So search engines are now able to recognize a brand mention. So somebody's basically talking about your business, which is a good sign. That's activity. It's similar to a link back to your site, which is kind of like a vote for you. So the point of that trend was to let you know that search engines are starting to use that as a signal to help you rank higher. So the more people are talking about your brand, generally the better, and that's going to boost your rankings. And Todd asked for an example of a brand mention. So the best way to, well, not the best way, but a very straightforward way to get brand mentions is do a press release. So if you use a tool like PR Web or one of the other press release tools out there, you can issue a press release. In that press release, you're going to list your business information like your name, your address, and your phone number. That's going to be a brand mention. It's going to get published on the press release site. Then it gets syndicated to other news sites. They might pick it up and republish it. So over time, you might get dozens or even hundreds of brand mentions, as well as what we call citations, which is a mention of your name, address, and phone number. And again, that's going to help boost your rankings. Let's see here. Michael said, are guest blog backlinks negated if you trade links, as in situations where link to your site and you link to my site? So that's called a reciprocal link, and reciprocal links are okay. So they're not generally bad, but if you do a lot of reciprocal linking, hey, if you link to me, I'll link to you, Google can recognize that, and they'll just devalue those links. So if they see that you're only getting links in a reciprocal manner, then that means it's not really, that other business is not really linking to you because you have good content. They're just linking to you because you are doing reciprocal linking. So they're not going to count that in their algorithm to rank you higher. So you don't want to focus on reciprocal linking. If it just happens naturally, that's okay. You don't have to worry about not linking to a business because Google might think it's reciprocal linking. Don't worry about that, but that shouldn't be your link building strategy to do reciprocal linking.
See one here. How often should I go back into my site and retool to stay up to speed on SEO from CC? I would say, SEO is to me a like weekly, all the time thing. You want to make sure, like I said, when you're planning your content, you're thinking about SEO, and you want to make sure you're refreshing old content. if you know, especially if it's evergreen, you know, maybe there's certain things that need to be updated in terms of like not like we were talking about the rich snippets. You can go back and add some rich snippets to the HTML. But yeah, it's something that I think you should constantly be monitoring and strategizing for.
And there are several questions around just what do you mean by structured data? What is the best structured data to use? And I mentioned schema markup. So if you go to schema.org, you can learn more about that particular markup language, which is essentially HTML code. And Google recommends JSON, which is JavaScript. And you would need to talk to your developer to get that added. But those are the two that I'm familiar with. And Google does recommend the JavaScript method, but you could also use schema as well. Let's see, this is an interesting question here. Is there a noticeable benefit to a one-pager with more content as opposed to multiple pages with smaller content chunks? From an SEO perspective, I would recommend one page that has all of the content on that page. You may have seen that some websites will have like a table of contents at the top, and the links will bookmark you down the page. So that's one way to make it a little bit more user-friendly. But by having it all on that one page, that gives Google one page to rank that has all of that content readily available and easy to spider, and then easy to index in their search engine. And there were some questions I think they were asking about add this, but again, I did chat that. So if you're looking for the links, just open up the chat window and you'll see the addthis.com link and the mainstreetroi.com link. Zach said, who is add this? Do you want to answer that?
So add this, we are we just offer simple free publisher website tools. So if you go to the link in the chat, you can see our share buttons integration, which is our most popular. It's used on over 15 million websites. So, but we also provide analytics. All our tools are optimized. So for mobile visits, and they also we use our data to show the best like sharing services per visitor. So it's optimized for increased sharing as well.
Question from CC, if I want to hire someone to do my SEO, which items will give me the best ROI to work on first? So the way that we always work with clients, we start with on-page SEO. You can think of SEO as two factors. There's everything that's on your site, on-page SEO, and then off your site, off-page SEO. And if you're on a small budget, you certainly want to focus first on your on-page SEO, and actually regardless of your budget. You'd always want to start first with your on-page, get your website set up correctly to rank, and then once that's done, move on to off-page SEO. Especially if you're on a limited budget, you don't want to be investing in off-page SEO if your website's not set up correctly. The perfect analogy is, the foundation when you're building a house. If your on-page SEO is not set up correctly, it's similar to trying to build a house when you don't have the foundation set yet. Dan asked for how fast should you be shooting for concerning page speed. So with SEO, everything's relative. I actually wrote an article and started it with that very cheesy joke that asks, how fast do you have to run to outrun a black bear if you're with a bunch of your friends? And the answer is you just have to run faster than the slowest friend, because that's the friend that's going to get eaten. And the same thing is true with SEO. You know, you don't, if your site's faster than everyone else that's ranking, then you've already got a fast enough site. I apologize for going quiet here. I'm just trying to get through all these questions. We've answered most of them. Corey, if you see.
Oh, there's how is Addthis preparing for new GDPR data usage restrictions? So we are compliant. We have some content coming out just to let everybody know that you don't need to worry. As long as you're making sure that you're compliant, our tools will be compliant. There aren't going to be anything. You won't need to do anything on your end for specifically regarding your tools with Addthis. That's a good question.
All right, somebody asked, this is from Linda, what are the top off-page SEO factors? I think I mentioned earlier, the biggest factor by far is links. So getting other businesses to link to you. It's essentially a popularity contest, but you can think of it like credibility by association. So if other credible businesses and websites are linking to you, Google is going to think that your website's also credible and authoritative, and that your business deserves to rank high. So that's going to be a big factor. And then next logical question is, how do you get those links? Unfortunately, there's no quick and easy way to do it. We've mentioned guest blogging as one way to get some backlinks. Publishing just really great content, which is something Corey touched on earlier. Just having long form content, having the most definitive guide on a topic related to your business. If you have that best guide on your website, then that's going to be what people reference when they talk about that particular topic, and when they reference it, they're going to link back to your site. So those are a couple of ways. I mentioned press releases is a way to get exposure and brand mentions, but the links from the press release are actually going to be no follow, so those aren't going to directly help your SEO. All right. You see another one, Corey, let me know. We'll take, you want to take two more?
Sure. Let's see.
Well, Christopher asked, how much does kindergarten cost in New York City?
I saw that one.
Which I'm really banking on free, because there are some good public schools near me. I know that nursery school costs quite a lot of money. It's basically the cost of college.
Yeah. Seeing some budget questions. I mean, I think the budget questions depends on what your overall marketing budget is, and where are you a digital only business? Like, I think it's probably a little more important there. If you are brick and mortar, I think it's something that might not be as important, but you do still want to have a little bit of insight into it. So maybe you could do it on your own, but yeah, I think the budget is a case-by-case basis sort of thing.
And then I'll take the last question here. This is a good one. So what is better for SEO, to have a blog integrated into the website, so basically have the blog on your domain, or a blog on a separate domain like WordPress? And that is something we see a lot, and I always recommend putting the blog on your domain. And the reason for that is so that any of the benefit of all that blogging that you're doing, you want that to directly benefit your domain. And if you're doing blogging and you're writing really good articles that people are linking to, we already mentioned how that's going to help boost your rankings from an SEO perspective. But that, if it's on your domain, that's going to directly help all of the pages on your domain. It's going to just give your overall domain authority a boost. But if you're blogging on a separate domain, like Blogspot and WordPress and all those other tools out there, then you're basically, when those links go to that domain, it's boosting the authority of that other domain rather than directly boosting the authority of your domain. So whenever possible, you want to set the blog up on your site. And for the same reason, whenever possible, it just makes it easier to just have one domain. So that can be another frequently asked question, if you should have and set up multiple domains for maybe different services in your business, different products. Generally speaking, the best solution is going to be to just have just one domain and then have separate sections of your site dedicated for the different business units or lines of service that you have. There's always exceptions, but from an SEO perspective, if you can focus all of your energy on just one domain, that's going to make your life a lot easier. All right. Well, Corey, thank you again. I think this is a good session. Got some great feedback from everyone.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, and again, we'll be following up with a replay as well as the slides. And if you want to add this, you can get it for free, addthis.com/get/share. And if you want to get the SEO bundle that I mentioned earlier, go to mainstreetroi.com/SEO bundle. And I'm going to close this out in just a minute, and you'll get redirected to a brief survey. I would really appreciate it if you complete that survey, send us your feedback, as well as any ideas you have for future webinars. All right, everyone, have a great Tuesday, great rest of your week, and thanks again, Corey.
Yep, thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.